Meticulous Moments audience, thank you so much for joining us for yet another enlivening session here at the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And it has been such a wonderful journey in the last 3 years. I'm in season 3 now with the podcast. And I just want to give a shout out to all the amazing guests who have been on this platform, who have taught me so many lessons, who have become brothers and sisters and friends, fellow martial artists as well. Thank you for the impact that you are creating out there. And this year I chose two words for Meticulous, and it's going to be impact and influence. So for this session and for all the other Meticulous Moment sessions, make sure to watch it on CBS, to watch it on Roku, Apple TV. The list goes on. We are so excited about this upcoming year. But today, we have the wonderful honor and privilege to spend time with my good friend and fellow martial artist, Cynthia Rothrock. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you. It's so great to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm going to read your bio to the audience. I went through it this morning on your website, and I just have to add this for the audience so they have some kind of background before we start. Cynthia Rothrock is a martial arts expert and athlete who went on to become a film actress, starring in a number of highly successful action movies. She first made a name as an action actress in Hong Kong before going on to wow audiences in her home turf. At the time of her popularity, she was well known as the queen of martial arts films. She's a world champion. Cynthia Rothrock is the world champion in martial arts forms and weapons, 1981 to 1985. Her goal was to be undefeated and retire after 5 years. With over 100 competitions, she holds the undefeated worldwide record in martial arts forms competition and weapons competition as well. Cynthia is the first and only woman to win #1 in North America against the men at that time. Women had to compete with the men, and she holds 5 black belts with a rank of 8 Dan Grandmaster. Acting career. Upon completing her goal of being undefeated in competition, she began her martial arts acting career starring in movies produced and filmed in Hong Kong. Her first movie, Yes, Madam, alongside Michelle Yeoh, broke box office records, making her a massive star in Hong Kong. After 3 years of living in Hong Kong, finishing 7 films, she returned to the United States to continue her acting career. And today she has starred in over 60 movies and is currently working on upcoming projects, and we will talk about those shortly. She's also a celebrated role model. Cynthia has been a role model for women in martial arts and film, and in 1983 she became the first woman to grace the cover of Karate Illustrated. Cynthia is a proud inductee into the prestigious Black Belt Hall of Fame, along with Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris. And in 2016, she was the first martial artist, male or female, to be inducted into the prestigious International Sports Hall of Fame by Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dr. Robert Goldman. So we are in great company here today. Now, Cynthia, I love to paint a backstory for the audience. I love to go back to where the love for martial arts started. I want to ask you to tell the audience, where did your love for martial arts start?
Well, it started when I was 13, and I was kind of, still am out of the box kind of a kid. I like to do things that were different and unusual. And one of my friend's parents owned a health club, and on Sundays they would close it and clean all the equipment. So my friend and I would go down, and while they were doing that, we'd go in the big exercise room and practice rolls and flips and all kind of fun things. And then her parents came in, and they had karate uniforms on, and they started doing some movements. And I was like, "What is that? What's that uniform? What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, we're learning how to defend ourselves with our hands and feet." So I went home to my mom and I said, "I want to do this." It was so unusual and it just looked so cool to me at the time. So I started back in the 70s, the late 70s, at the Scranton Karate School in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Wow, fantastic. So your love for that developed instantly. And I mean, you've been with it and doing it ever since being a practitioner of the martial arts, but it also opened so many other doors. We read that you became world champion. We read that you became an actress of note and all the other Hall of Fames that you've been inducted in as well. What was that journey like? Looking back, what was that journey like for you?
Well, it's definitely a long journey and it's always included martial arts in everything I do. But, in the beginning, it wasn't a love at first sight when I got to the class. I was the only girl in the class. It was really tough. Back then, martial arts weren't a business. They were like, if you can't hang with us, we don't want you in here. So there was pretty brutal training. And it wasn't what I expected. And the second class, he had me spar my teacher with a black belt, and they hit me in the head, almost knocked me out. My teacher said, "You don't block with your head." Then someone the next class had me try to break a board with a front kick, and it was a half a board. And usually, a lot of people can't break a half a board. Full board, yes. Half a board, and I thought I broke my toe. And then we were doing push-ups. I hated push-ups, and I've been training about a month and a half. And I told my mom I don't really like this, and my mom was like, "Well, you signed up for 4 months. You have to do it." And then one day, my instructor gave a speech to the class saying, that quitters are losers, and if you have a bad attitude, you're not going to be successful. And I thought about this, and I said, "Yeah, I have this bad attitude." So I started changing my attitude, saying push-ups. Oh, I hate them, but they're good for my upper body to give me strength. I couldn't get this one move. I kept practicing. I finally got it. And it was a lesson that I've learned, that even though life is difficult, if you pursue it, you will become successful, and you have to have a positive attitude. So that I held all my life. And it went from, training to competition to opening up my own schools, to doing movies, to doing a book, to doing my own movie and producing and being one of the writers, to now doing my own graphic novels. So it's all because of martial arts. And I really feel blessed that this was the path that God put me on to have my life journey. And I try to inspire people along the way to,
Mhm.
do what you dream doing. And it's a lot of hard work. It's not easy, but if you pursue it with a positive attitude, you'll get there.
That's true. Positive attitude is everything. And, I attribute that as well to our teachers, our kiyoshis, our senseis, our sifus, who are there in every single class, nudging us on and giving us that constructive feedback. Not always good feedback, but constructive feedback, not making us only physically tough, but mentally tough as well. Now, you wrote a book. You're the author of a book. Let's talk about your book.
Yeah, it's called Dynamic Kicking. I did it in the 80s with George Chung. Black Belt magazine put it out, and I think it's out of print, but sometimes you could still find a copy here and there on eBay, and it's all about kicking.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. I'll go and look for a copy of that. I said to Dame Donna Kinsella Keating, when I was visiting her in Cape May, we were talking about her martial arts journey as well. You're well acquainted with Dame Donna. And I looked at her and I said, Donna, martial arts found you. It found you. And I believe when you have it in you, what you seek is seeking you always. And I just thank God as well for all the lessons learned along the way, right? Because it really shapes our character. It shapes us as a person. I take a martial arts principles and I use it in different areas of my life, as I'm sure you do. And it opens those doors, it opens our mind. Now, I saw that you attended a meditation retreat with some of our good friends. Shout out to Dr. Robert Goldman. I know Silvio Seamack is also a mutual friend of ours. He was also in attendance. Tell us about what that meditation weekend was like.
Yeah, that was very interesting. We went off and we were doing this 1 week retreat. And it's something that I thought, I just came off of my movie. I had a lot of stress, and I thought this will be a kind of a good experience for me because I've done meditation in the past, but nothing to this extreme. We had to. Wear all white clothing. We couldn't speak to each other. It was total vegan. It was meditating for at least 8 hours a day, sitting in meditation position. So it's interesting. It's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done,
Yeah.
but it was very motivational and inspirational for me. And basically, the theme was mindfulness. And it's funny because there was 40 of us doing this, and it's the first time foreigners have ever come to the soul retreat to do the meditation. And we created such a bond together, even though we couldn't talk, that we were going through this brutal thing. And I just remember after we would meditate for like 50 minutes to an hour and a half, and then we'd get a 10-minute break, and then we'd go back again. And it was exhausting. It's funny, like on our breaks, we would, like for lunch or dinner, we'd have like about an hour and a half break. You would just sleep, because it's very hard sitting in the one position and you couldn't really move, and, you start feeling your back hurting, your legs. And it was funny, after every session, everybody would get up and you'd see everybody like walking like they were 100 years old because your legs fall asleep, they cramp up. But it was a very, very lifetime experience for me to do that.
Oh my goodness, I can imagine how exhausting that must be, all that concentration for such a long period of time. I remember when I interviewed Silvio here on Meticulous Moments, he spoke about a retreat that he had attended as well, something similar that had to do with meditation. And he said in the morning they had to have a mindful breakfast. And I said, what is a mindful breakfast? And so that entailed getting into a little cubicle without your phone, not being with anyone else, but just having your breakfast with yourself and your thoughts. And I thought that's very interesting. So when I saw that you all went to the retreat, I thought to myself, that's going to be a very interesting experience because we live in a time where there's so many external influences, everything is happening at such a pace, we forget to slow down. We forget to be present in the moment. So I thought that was exceptional. And I can imagine sitting like that for so long, your legs start to go asleep and it can't be
Yeah.
comfortable at all. But you did it. And how would you say did it impact you? Do you do more meditation now? Did you work, through some internal things? What was that like?
Well, one thing I forgot to mention too is that as soon as we got there, they took our cell phones away.
Oh,
And then they gave it to us at the end of the retreat. So it was kind of a nice experience, not being able to, do work and just think about, your mindfulness. But I think what, I appreciate meditation more. I've learned the beginning to the advanced method of doing this. And basically, I think it's a mindfulness. It helps you to have clarity of your mind. Some of the things that come up from your subconscious is kind of mind blowing when you're sitting there meditating. And it's just, I think it's a great balance for someone that has a pretty active life and or pretty stressful, or your mind is always going at the time, to be able to take, they say, you should do at least like 40 minutes a day, and just
yeah,
calm down.
yeah.
Uh, you know, it was interesting because it wasn't really, it was the other meditations I did were like focusing on your breathing or focusing on a mantra. And this was basically just focusing on your breath.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic. Wow. And breath is so important in martial arts. That
Yeah, and it
breathing
wasn't
that
your
we do.
breath like breathing. It was just a focal point, like to here's where you have to focus, right? Like the beginning is like right at the tip of your nose, and that's your focus point. That's it. You're just focusing right on that point,
Yeah.
nothing else, And it was interesting, definitely a worthwhile experience, and it's such a great you have to get accepted there, and it's all by donation,
Wow.
and living conditions is pretty primitive there. You're pretty smart, but the meditation halls were beautiful, and the surrounding was just a beautiful peaceful property right backed up against the mountains,
Oh
and it was
my
in Thailand.
goodness. Thailand, what a fantastic setting. I can just imagine how beautiful it was there. In South Africa, where I'm from, I also meditate and I hike up a mountain and then I sit on a rock and I'll send you the photo, Cynthia. It's shaped in the shape of a line. Looks like a line from the side that's looking out on the mountains. And I always go to that rock. It's flat at the top, and I sit there and I meditate and I manifest. and I put all that good energy out into the universe. And then I take a nap on that rock. And you'll know when you get up from there, I feel like a new person. I feel like I can just, take on the week ahead, and I'm just stronger because our bodies, we need to nourish our bodies in various ways. I was in a seminar the other day that spoke about health products, and I said, sleep is not just enough, exercise is not enough. We have to have, of course, the vitamins and the supplements as well, but we have to invest in us, so that we can show up better for other people. Now, you've had a beautiful journey, and I just want to also shout out to Duke Fabio Bevilacqua, because Cynthia and I are both Spartan Hall warriors. I'm the president of South Africa, but I've got even better news. Cynthia was recently damed in Atlantic City. So tell us about that experience, because you've been damed, and I know Dame Donna Cancelo Keating was also there. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was such a an awesome experience for me, and I'm all about new experiences in life. And who would have ever thought that I would be knighted? And it was knighted as Dama, which means female knight.
Yes.
And it was a beautiful ceremony. It was very old school, very Catholic ceremony. The priest was there. They had the music going, they had the candles going. It was an honor, something I never expected would happen in my life, but very blessed, to be part of, that association. So,
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, congratulations on that, Cynthia. We are very happy to have you on board, and I know there's great things going to happen for you in this year. And development is so important. You mentioned that you're all about new experiences, and I think that's also what martial arts open up for us. It makes us, challenge ourselves in a daily manner, not just on our martial arts front, but in life. Now, looking back on your journey and the development and the new experiences, what was the most grueling one, the most difficult one that you had to go through? Because sometimes they're positive, and sometimes we have, changes that stretch us a little bit and challenge us a little bit more than we would like to be challenged. Can you think of something like that that happened to you?
yeah, absolutely. I'm always about challenging myself, and I think, it's not getting in a comfortable spot. Like you can always do better. You can always better yourself. So once I stopped competing, and after I had my daughter, I got into extreme adventure, doing things that would really challenge me mentally and physically. And I'd have to say, probably the toughest thing I've ever done in my life was hiking to Mount Everest Base Camp. It was like a 12-day trek, and most of it, three-quarters of it, was all uphill into high altitude. We went into almost 20,000 feet. And it was the hardest thing I've ever done. It wasn't so much the physicality, it was the altitude. And I
Uh-huh.
just remember like going up, going left foot, right foot, left foot, just keep putting one foot ahead of the other one, and while I was doing it, I saw these different beautiful sceneries of Nepal. You'd go into where it's spring and it's summer, and then you'd hit a blizzard, and getting to base camp, it was such an accomplishment that the group of us did and shared. So I think that was a mental and physical challenge for me. And I remember doing it thinking, what am I crazy? Why am I doing this? And then after I got down to the bottom, I was like, well, that wasn't so bad. Let's see, where's the next one I could do? Maybe the Burma Trail. So still in my lifetime, that was my most difficult challenge.
Wow, I can imagine with that altitude in the cold, and oh my goodness, that must have been excruciating. But still, you can look back and say, well, I did it. I went there, I made that goal, I achieved that goal. And I think
And it was tough.
sometimes,
It was tough. It was tough because not only were you hiking, is you had to carry everything with you. You had to carry
heavy.
2 big gallons of water. You had to carry all your winter clothes. You had to carry your tent. I had, I think about like 37 to 40 pounds on my backpack. So
Yeah.
put that into the equation, it was pretty tough.
And it's uphill most of the way. So kudos to you for doing that. I was wondering who accompanied you, who went up with you. Did you have a tour guide, or who
Yes,
joined you?
when when I do these, I usually do it with adventure groups, and two of my friends went with me on this trip. So two of my guy friends, they wanted to do it, so we shared all that experience together.
That's something
Oh, but
you'll
you know, I wanted to
definitely.
tell you, I was in South Africa this year, and I did the Lion Head Trail, and I
You
climbed up to the top. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes.
you did, and I didn't even know. The next time you're there, let me know, please. Yeah, then we'll
I
go do
will.
it together.
It's my first time in South Africa.
Wow, what was your experience like in South Africa?
I loved it. I we did a lot of hiking, we did a lot of safaris. I was going to do the shark cage diving,
Uh-huh.
but while we were there, first of all, it was like super cold, and I thought, oh, it's South Africa, it's going to be warm. I was surprised how cold it was, and I guess the humpback whales were very dominant in that area this
Yeah.
year, and they were killing a lot of the sharks, so they weren't so much around. So I didn't get to do that. But I was impressed with the scenery, and one of our trips was going to a vineyard, and I was like, well, I'm not really into that. I'd rather be out in nature. But it was so beautiful. The vineyards are
Yeah.
so beautiful, and the wine was so good, and
Yeah.
it definitely was a great experience. And I was like looking, I had a day free, and I was like, oh, what's some adventure I could do? And it was going up to the Lion Peak, and we did do the day before. Our group went up the gondola up to the top,
Oh, wow.
but on the other side, but it was foggy, so we couldn't see anything. So I was like, I got to come back up the next day and hike that Lion Peak.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that you had a good time. Yes, South Africa can be very unpredictable from weather to the fog. When you climb, it can look like everything's clear up there. When you get there, it's changed. And yes, the animals are unpredictable as well. But I do agree with you. The vineyards are beautiful. And, South Africa makes some of the best wine in the world. So I'm so happy to hear that you got to experience that. I'm actually hosting a safari myself in November in South Africa. So I'm looking forward to that because that's the time of the year when all the animals have their little babies and it starts raining. So
Oh
beautiful,
yeah.
beautiful time of the year. But friendships are important. You spoke about joining adventure groups, you spoke about friends that went with you, that accompanied you. And I'm thinking about martial arts, the friendships that we develop in the martial arts. I've said it many times to people. You will start talking to a fellow martial artist without even knowing that they're a martial artist, but you understand them because it's almost like you're on the same wavelength. Now, I want to ask you, martial arts friendships that you've developed over the years, have there been impactful relationships with friends, brothers and sisters that have developed? And how has that impacted you personally?
Yeah, well, martial arts is my life, and we're all one big family. We all
Yeah,
share this same common interest, and when martial artists get together, it's like a bonding.
yeah,
It's like a feeling of love. And one of the things I love to do is go to some of the martial art events, especially in different countries, and meet different martial artists, and talk to
yeah,
them, teach them. It's one of the top things I love to do is, teaching people. And you're right, you just become friends, and maybe you might not see someone for 4 or 5 years, but when you do, it feels like, you just saw them the other day, and I think it's just this like this spiritual connection,
mhm,
that we have. We all have the same goals, we have the same outlook on life, and the same principle is, to teach our knowledge to other people to help them better their lives.
yeah, that's true. To pay it forward, and you mentioned that it's a spiritual connection. I think you coined that term so well. It's a spiritual connection. It's that energy that we share as a collective. And being in the art, studying the art kind of brings us to that place. And it's not something you can see with your eyes. It's something that you experience. And one of those times that I experienced that recently was when you and I were at the Atlantic City Action Martial Arts Hall of Honors with Dr. Alan Goldberg. What was that event like for you? Because I know I was in awe with all the amazing, amazing people I met, fellow martial artists, people from across the globe. What was your experience at that event this year?
Yeah, well, that event is the biggest martial art event in the world of a get together of so many people. And I've been going for 23 years, ever since he started. I haven't missed one because that's how much I love it. And, when you're there, there's so much to do. You get to meet so many martial art uh, masters, action stars, just people that are training because you can do seminars, you can,
Yeah,
and like I always say, it's not just an event, it's not just an award ceremony, it's an event of love. I mean, it's
yeah,
just, you just feel that energy and that love that everybody is there just to have a good time and a time that you'll never forget. And, mostly, for going 23 years, I know so many people, so many, of course, like all the masters are all my great friends, but, you get to meet like the people that are just coming to the event for the first time, and you just share this bonding of being at this event, and
yeah.
it's just something special. The action mega martial arts is just very special, very dear in my heart, and that's why I'll never schedule anything when when that's coming on.
Those dates are set, guys. We've got it on our calendars. Nothing else is happening for us except that time of the year. It's normally end of January. I believe the new dates are out for next year, so I've already penciled them in. And yes, I agree with you. Alan Goldberg, Grandmaster Alan Goldberg did a phenomenal job. Together with Jane, Dr. Robert Goldman, all the key people that are just, you know what was so wonderful? How everybody came together to make the event just phenomenal, special, one of a kind. Because I know, the years have been passing by, 23 of them have been held. But I could sense in the energy that we were in and the vibe that I got, that environment, that every one of these events are special and they are unique because it keeps growing and people keep evolving and they keep training as martial artists. Now, you're a world champion. And I want to ask you for the upcoming martial artists out there, for the audience, someone that's maybe still working towards a goal, someone that wants to be a world champion in martial arts like you, what's the best advice you can give them? What is it that makes a world champion?
I think is mindset. You have to practice, practice, practice. And I was undefeated over 100 times in competition, and a lot of times it was very stressful to me because I thought, what if someone would beat me? So I would train every day. I had a school at the time, but not only did I train, is I went to Hong Kong, I went to mainland China back in 1982 when it was very hard to get into China. I studied at the Chengdu Wushu camp for like 8 weeks. I've studied in Hong Kong. You have to, if you want to be a world champion, you can't settle for like, I could say, oh, I'm not going to practice because I was number one and I could win this easily. I would just keep saying someone could be better than me. Someone is practicing, someone's out to get me.
Mhm.
So I had to keep my game up and keep finding ways, to uh, better myself. So I think if you want to be a world champion, it's like all I did was eat, drink, sleep, martial arts training, And then when I retired, that's when I was like, "Ooh, now I can go skiing." But I just focused so hard on my martial arts, and that's what you have to do if you want to be a world champion.
Yeah, I think that's an exceptional answer, well articulated there. I said to when I was training the last session that I did when I was training the class, I learned many years ago from my Kiyoshi and my sensei and everyone that what's the difference between a gold medalist and a silver medalist? I mean, they train exactly the same way. They go on these regimens. And you mentioned a word, and that's a very, very important word here for any martial artist or anyone out there that's an athlete that wants to be a world champion. It's your mindset. It's the way you think. It's how you can encourage yourself in that moment when you're tired, or maybe you get up for the day of the tournament and you're not feeling your best, having done everything perfectly. What brings you to that gold medal is your mindset. And then, like Cynthia, have that mind to say, well, someone else is training. They want to come and take my trophy. They want to take my gold medal. I need to train harder than they are training. Not a day off, not a moment of slack, just being disciplined. And I absolutely, and that's why you are where you are today, Cynthia. And you're doing movies as well. I know Black Creek came out. Please tell us about your movie.
Yeah, well, after doing 70 movies, I finally said, I want to do my own movie. I want to be in control of it. I want to cast, my friends in it. I want to determine what the look is going to be, what the action's going to be. And we finally decided to do it. We went on a Kickstarter crowd raising platform. And I was a little nervous at first because, like Dr. Goldman said, well, how do you think you'll make your goal? He goes, this other martial art actor didn't make it. And why do you think you will? And I was like, that started making me nervous. And then I said to someone, they said, well, you're Cynthia, you're not them. So, I went ahead full speed with positivity, and love into the project. And so excited that we became the second highest action fundraiser in action movies. And we actually are editing the movie right now. I'm so blessed that I had so many backers and support it. And I feel like it's not just my film, it's all the people that backed me. It's our film together. And like how you said, family, for all the backers, we have a Black Creek Facebook page, and everybody is in it every day. They've made such great friends from this movie that it's so inspiring and so loving to see that this all these people from my movie have bonded and have become lifetime friends. And right now, doing another thing that's different is I always wanted to do a graphic novel. I always wanted to be in a comic book. It was just something I wanted to do. And my friend Marlon Shoup, who is an illustrator, and he did all our storyboards for Black Creek, we've been talking about this for almost 20 years. And finally, we decided we're going to do it for Black Creek. So with my partner Robert Clancy and Marlon and I, we put together another campaign. We just started today. Today's our first day on Indiegogo, and it's one of the things that I loved about the backers in my movie Black Creek is that they were so happy to be in this movie because a lot of times people don't get it's almost impossible to be in a movie, right? But we gave people the opportunity to do a fight scene, to do a speaking role, to be an extra, to be a VIP on set. And, this changed their life so dramatically. And now it's the same, like how many people want to be on a comic book. So some of the incentives we have is you could be on the cover, you could be a character in the book. And people can go check it out. Like I said, we just launched today, so it's so great. We're doing this interview, and it's just go to blackcreekgraphicnovel.com and it'll take you there. And we have great incentives like to get the book right away. And we're just excited about, this whole new life that's opened up to me, like doing my own projects, which I love because a lot of times when you don't have control, you don't like how the fight scenes went. You don't like, oh, I don't like how the clothing they gave me, or, the lighting was terrible. So when you're in control of everything, you can make it the best project possible. So that's where all my energies are going into these days, is bringing out the best film I can and having such a kick-ass graphic novel that's going to be over 116 pages for people, to enjoy. So it's nice. We have different life-changing experiences. We go from one level to another, to another, to another. And I love that about life, and you just have to have the motivation and the determination to do it. Even though it gets scary, you have to just go for it.
You have to absolutely seize that moment, carpe diem, right? When you have that opportunity, take that opportunity, and that's what I see you doing, Cynthia. And kudos to you for doing that. It's a whole new level that you're on, that you're starting out. It's encouraging, it's inspiring to people out there. I just want to shout out. I know Don the Dragon Wilson, our mutual friend, is so awesome. He was in Black Creek. Would you like to give a shout out to some of our other friends that were also joining you in the movie?
Oh yeah, let's see. We had Richard Norton, Keith Cook, and this is the first time in 30 years that we've done a movie together. Our last one was China O'Brien. We had Benny the Jet Urquidez, Keith Vitale. We had special appearances by a lot of martial art masters, Steve Ross, Rick St. Clair, Stephen Hayes. There's so many martial artists, and I wanted to do this movie with we had Marcus Taylor in it. It's like I'm trying to remember everybody that was in it because we
Oh,
had
it's a
so
big
many people.
cast.
But I want, a Don Wilson, I wrote the part for him because I just saw him like in this role, and he was like, "Wow, that's the first time anybody wrote a part in for me. Usually, I just come in, do this and that." But I was like, "No, this is specifically tailored for you." So, it's kind of like a lot of people are saying it's like kind of the Expendables of martial arts,
I
doing
love
in
that.
it. And we're in the process of, we think, it's going to be such a good movie, so successful from what we're seeing. We're already wrote the script for Black Creek too.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. Don is definitely an exceptional human being. He's amazing. When I was at the Action Martial Arts Hall of Honor, I missed his session when he was doing his seminar. And I remember walking up to, because I thought it was still running, but I was looking for the room in which he was presenting. And I walked up to a table and I started talking to two guys sitting there, two martial artists. And I said, where can I find the room where Don the Dragon Wilson is presenting? And he popped his head out behind the second guy and he was like, here I am. And then I was like, yay, and he said, well, it's over. And then I was standing there with my fiance, Kevin, and he said, well, can we know, just hear a little bit about it? And do you know what Don the Dragon Wilson did? He got up and he did a private instructional with me there. Told me so many stories for about half an hour. And I thought, my goodness, after doing a seminar, you're a little bit tired because you had all these people joining. Then he was on his
Yeah.
break and he did that for me. And I thought, now that's a good character. That's someone that loves what they do. So thank you to Don the Dragon Wilson for doing that. I'll be posting that soon as well. He showed me a few things. He is so knowledgeable about everything that he does. He's also a world champion like you. And I'm just blessed, to know amazing people. And I want the audience out there to also connect with people. I spoke about sometimes we communicate with people, sometimes we communicate effectively with them. But to me personally, as someone who loves people, I want to connect. I want to connect
Yeah.
on a heart level, on a martial art level, on a professional level. And I feel like you do the same, Cynthia. That's how you build all these years. And I wanna, just say thank you for being an exceptional guest here. I know you have another engagement that you have to go to, but before we let you go, please tell us, do you have any words of wisdom for the audience?
Yeah, I think just try to be the best you can be. A lot of times, like I just try to be a positive inspiration for people. And, I have problems, I have stress, I get things that's depressing, and it's just a way of, I think I've learned through martial arts is just to overcome it. And, one of the things, Dr. Bob Goldman is one of my best friends. He said to me, he gave a speech one day and he said, I eat obstacles for breakfast.
Oh,
And I
I
love
love
that. And the thing is just making this life the best you can. And I know a lot of people say that, but really, really, it's almost kind of like what makes you happy. And, you just do it. Like a lot of people say, well, I want to travel, but I don't have money. But like you said, you're in your backyard, you have lion's head, you can find nature, and there's so much, it's such the world is so beautiful just being in nature, just, seeing it. So it doesn't take money, to experience new things. But you got to find out what your thing is, and then just keep living life, and stay as healthy as you can.
Yeah, that's very good. That's a wonderful advice to the audience out there. I agree with you. Cynthia, I think sometimes we get so distracted by the little things that are not really important that sometimes we miss the important things in all of that. And if we have the focus that you have and Dr. Goldman has and that drive, we forget about the little things and we focus on the things that make us happy. And that's when we move those mountains. That's when we get to reach our goals and our visions. And that's when we are impactful, when we become powerful in many ways. So thank you so much, Cynthia. You have been a wonderful guest here on Meticulous Moments. Guys, make sure that you keep a lookout for our upcoming projects. And yes, I'm sure we'll see each other in South Africa at some point in time. And I'll definitely see you in the upcoming events this year. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here.
Have a wonderful day, Cynthia. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Super excited to be here with you today. The name is David Vrablik, and I am the founder and president of New Beginnings Motivation. And we are super excited to announce that we are teaming up and coming alongside to be a sponsor for Meticulous Moments with Juanita Kapp. This was an absolute joy to be able to come and to be able to be a sponsorship with her, not only because I believe in what she's doing and all the powerful moments that she's providing her community and the fact that she's invited me on her show a couple of times, but I'm also excited because she's a part of the family within the New Beginnings Motivation team. And it was a no-brainer when we had this conversation about teaming up with her. And so it is with an extreme honor that myself personally teaming up with Juanita Kapp. So super excited and much love, sister.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're the #1 fastest growing community and tribe of some of the highest level entrepreneurs all around the country and around the world. We're in 36 states across the U.S., in 11 international countries, and over 240 plus members, growing every single day. And I'm honored, excited, and I'm glad to say that I'm proud to be the official sponsor of the Meticulous Moments podcast with Juanita Kapp. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm excited for this journey.